it's your boy Panda. We're going to tell you all about how we make these amazing spinners that we have right here. As some of you have seen, I've been selling them online, and honestly it's hard for me to keep up with demand, which is not a bad problem to have, but I wish I could churn them out faster, and this kind of explains the process. These are actually 3D printed pieces of plastic on the outside, all metal bearings on the inside. So these are going to last and last and last, and I'll explain a little bit more about that as I go. How we start is we take a 3D model excuse me, and we load it into this software here. What this software does is it cuts it into a bunch of layers for my machine to understand. Now, the process that we use takes what we call filament, and I use PLA mostly, which I believe is polylactic acid is what it stands for. This stuff is kind of flimsy. If you just look at it right now, it looks kind of like a weed eater line of sorts. Comes in various colors. And a good spool of this, this is a kilo worth of the filament. This can go a pretty good while. It just depends on what you're making too, of course, and there's a lot of variables. You can fill some with gaps, you can make it solid pieces. It really depends on how you use it. But yeah, this is the stuff that goes in the machine. So as you can see, I've got a spool up here of the filament mounted on the machine. I run it down into here. Within here, you see we got a cooling fan spinning, and that's because this little piece right here, there we go, it gets very, very hot. Right now we're at 215 degrees Celsius, and so as it heats up that PLA, that filament, it starts pushing it through that little nozzle on the bottom. And remember all those layers I mentioned before on the video? It's using those layers to translate that to this plastic. So it's going line by line over all of this, making a little pattern. And yeah, it takes several hours, but you can kind of watch it grow. There's probably some cool time-lapse videos people have out there on YouTube and other places where you can kind of see the whole process. This job I got going right now is probably about a 6 or 7 hour job, so you got to be patient when you're doing 3D printing, but the results are totally worth it to me. So I got the model here. I use the 3D printer, print it out. What I get left with is basically little sheets that look kind of like this. I can do 4 at a time, and then with these peel right off of the sheet. They just come right up, and so I'm left with this piece of plastic. Again, this is a very, very durable piece of plastic. Excuse my fingers there, I'm kind of switching hands. I'm not worried about breaking this. You know, like, I'm not going to have any problems. I may drop a spool, but yeah, I'm not having any problems. The ones down there that are broken, that's because I had some crappy bearings that I got from China, and I've since got away from that because they were just crap. So I ended up trying to cut them out because they were awkward sizes. They just weren't working. So that's one of my victims as we've gone, and I've learned some things. So with that, again, you're getting very, very strong plastic. I'm not afraid to hit this stuff, like, at all. It's still going to be good. It's still going to be tough. I had to Dremel that out to get that stuff. That's why you can kind of see these notches. That's not from breaking. That's from me using a Dremel to notch it out so I can get that crappy bearing out. Again, we don't use those bearings anymore. We use good stuff. So you've got this super strong plastic, these all metal bearings, because most of the ones I'm seeing at grocery stores and other places, they're made out of cheap rubber or really cheap plastic, including the bearings, and I'm hearing people having failures with them or being unbalanced or just not rotating or whatever. I make sure each one that I make is spinning. Before you get it, I make sure it's spinning. Some of the outer ones especially, I will tell you right now, they may be packed down a little bit tighter. They just need to be, you know, basically put to use a little bit. So you need to start spinning them here and there. And as they go, they'll loosen up more and more and more for you. And yep, they're bearings, so there may be a little bit of oil on them at first too. Don't be alarmed by that. It's perfectly normal. But yeah, I test each and every one of these, and I've gone through several different models, several different things, trying to get all this right. And we finally got to a good spot with it. So I'm churning them out as fast as I can. Again, a sheet of 4 just like that, it takes me about 6 hours. So it's not on demand instant, but each one is custom made to you, or for you I should say. And I'm trying to get them out as quick as I can. It's just a supply and demand product for me to get stuff in as well. And again, just that lead time. But thanks to everybody that's ordered so far. Thanks for people spreading the word. And yeah, hopefully we'll have more of these spinners up on the Etsy store in the not too distant future. The end.